Travelers of Reddit, what's one place you will never ever go back to again? Obligatory Gary, Indiana story. I grew up in a small town north of Indy, and when I graduated, I went to a job fair and got a job in Gary working at Miger. I was living in a apartment with like 4 other people I worked with in a bad neighborhood. Every day there were cops being called to my apartment building. In the 3 months I was there, I was mugged 4 times. The past. That's deep. Rockford, Illinois. Highest murder rate in the state, and the #1 Mexican restaurant was Taco Bell for the 5th year running. Not sure if you're familiar with Great Wolf Lodge, but they have an arcade that is basically a casino for kids in their lower level. It's a bit shocking. Hollywood. Most of it is nowhere near as nice, let alone glamorous, as travel guides would have us believe. I found it highly overrated. The house of the dude that overcharged me for a lower quality bag of weed. First and last time. That guy. IKEA. You can walk in anytime you like, but you can never leave, because it's a maze of furniture and Swedish balls. This Italian restaurant that fired me, only time I've ever been fired. Got hired as a host busser. Busted my ass for a week. Came in one day and was told I had to take a test about the menu. I said, "Oh, I just work up front and clean tables. I'm not a server." Apparently there was some employee handbook I was supposed to memorize. Nobody ever gave it to me, or even mentioned it. I was just handed an apron and told, "Seat people and clean tables when there's no line." I got fired. Rudely. Shame too, because it was my favorite Italian restaurant in town and I'm never going back. When I was about 17, I was at my friend's apartment building, which his parents owned. We had an apartment to hang out in on the top floor and used to go to the roof to smoke. One night we were about to go up, but I had to pee, so I told him I'd meet him up there. After I was done, I went up the stairs to the attic portion that was connected to the roof. There were no lights, so we always used our phones to guide us. It was an old building and the attic was creepy and cluttered all the time. As I made my way to the roof door, I saw a shadow pass by me. I followed the direction it went, thinking it was my friend. I kept saying that I knew it was him and to stop playing around. It passed me a few more times when I heard my friend's voice from downstairs. He got a call from his girlfriend and was in another room talking to her the whole time. I have no idea what that shadow figure was, but it really freaked me out. I told my friend what happened and that I did not want to go back up there. A couple things for people to consider that have been mentioned when I've told this story before. It was not my own shadow, since the only light up there was coming from my phone, which I held in front of me. It also wasn't someone that just broke in, because that door locks from the outside, and the next day my friend went to check when it was daytime and there was no one there. Elementary school. God, I felt like an outcast there. Imagine now. You'd probably be arrested. Springfield, Illinois. Jesus Christ, every single restaurant and shop was closed by 5 p.m. no matter what day it was. I have never gone back to the pizza place in Manhattan that once 10 years ago had plumbing issues, so everyone had to discard their used toilet paper into a big trash barrel that didn't have a lid. It was disgusting. Venice, seriously. It looked cool, but dealing with thousands of people standing in a square texting the whole time and making it impossible to see anything. I left at 6 in the morning and it was damn pretty to walk around for a bit, but damn if that day wasn't the worst. Everglades National Park. If I go back, I'm not leaving the car. There was actually a sign at one of the attractions that vultures would damage your car. They provided tarps and bungees to cover them while you parked. I noped out of there after a few minutes and literally hundreds of bug bites. I now call it the Neverglades. Fridays. I'll microwave my own food. Thanks. The funhouse on the pier in Chicago scared the shit out of 8-year-old me. Not literally. Ithaca, New York. Apparently downtown isn't bad, but I got told that they don't like my kind by several people in the outskirts. One pulled a shotgun on me. I'm Irish and Latino, but the first thing people notice is the Latino skin tone. Florida. It's just awful. Elizabeth, South Australia. Who knew putting all public housing in one bunched-up area would be a bad idea? Granted, it is getting nicer, but it always looks/smells/feels like a hole no matter what. East St. Louis. I've never turned a car around so fast. Tourists think because it's called East St. Louis that it is a part of St. Louis, Missouri. It is not. We never go into the east side. If you find yourself there by accident, Turn around.
Morocco. It was beautiful. The food was good. The shopping opportunities were amazing. My problem was that I constantly felt hassled and that I couldn't trust anyone. Walking around towns was a pain in the ass. People pulling my arm non-stop, guys grabbing my wife's ass all the time. And she was dressed very modestly, long sleeves, skirt to her ankles. People jumping in front of me to try and get me into their shop/restaurant/taxi/horse-drawn cab. Rug store, everything. We would ask someone for directions and they would lie to us to get them to walk past their store, or just to be d***s. It was honestly just exhausting. We did meet some nice people for sure, but it wasn't a relaxing trip. We got out of the big cities and it was much better. But Marrakesh, Casablanca, and Fez were interesting and neat, but just being out in public was a constant pain in the ass. I did have a fairly big beard at the time, and every single person called me Alibaba, which was kinda hilarious. The first 300 times. Any all-inclusive resort. Went to a wedding in Puerto Vallarta and stayed at one. My buddy found a hostel downtown. He ate authentic food, met a lot of great locals, and overall had a better cultural experience. Meanwhile, the resort was just full of fat Americans eating cheeseburgers and Italian food by the pool. Felt no different than SoCal. Fuck Delaware. Why? I don't know, it was just boring and gross, but it was a long time ago and I don't actually care. Mexico City. They purposely fudged our travel documents and we were stuck in the country with nowhere to sleep. They had a special office with limited hours set up for that situation, and all the benches in the lobby were filled with people stuck in the same situation as us. We had to pay the government and spend an extra $1K on plane tickets in order to get out. Arbitrarily charged, the people next to us in the same situation were only out $500. And in customs, they stopped us multiple times to search our luggage as if they were shopping. They took a hammock from a little old lady who had already been cleared, and several of the employees had a nice little take-home pile of things that were mysteriously allowed in other lines. Not to mention how confusing and poorly laid out it was. Some of the gates were behind inconspicuous, unmarked doors down a dingy hallway. We were only there for a layover. I was the only American at my work, and when I got back home, they all asked what the F we were thinking going through there. I'll pay the extra $1 to go straight to my intended destination next time. By the way, the rest of the country was great. It was beautiful, and the people were very friendly and helpful. I have nothing bad to say about the people overall. My bad experience was because of a corrupt system run by the same ass that would have worked at the DMV back home. Special thanks to the people working at the airport in Puerto Vallarta. They saw our next destination and zip-tied our checked luggage so nobody could with it. Sure enough, while we were trying to figure out how to get home, the Mexico City police came and wanted to search us again. The zip ties at least saved us from that headache. Medan, Sumatra, Indonesia. What an absolute full of bums and mafia trying to scam you out of your money. The city is ugly as hell. The rest of Sumatra was absolutely fantastic, though. Biloxi, Mississippi. It's absolutely disgusting. The Mississippi River dumps out right onto Biloxi Beach, so the water is very polluted and looks like diarrhea. Everything smells bad. The main strip looks nice, but once you go 1 block off of it, it looks like Mogadishu, Somalia. It's dangerous at night, and an absolute dump. The only thing good there are casinos. New York City. Too many people. Belize City. Got out of a taxi to go to the ATM, and a swarm of people surrounded me. One lady yelled out to me, "Hey, pretty lady, come work for me." The taxi driver then told me to get in the car, and as that happened, a man pulled open the taxi door and tried to pull me out as we were driving off. I'm guessing he was trying to rob me, but I hadn't even got to the ATM by then. The neighborhood we were in must have been sketchy as hell, like people sitting around fires and barrels, etc. It was actually pretty scary. Benidorm. Don't get me wrong, it's just so hot there. It has that hot air that makes you hate breathing. Beaches. I nearly drowned as a 8 or 9-year-old. My parents couldn't bear because I was too far away. I was scared so much when I eventually got myself to safety I stayed on the sand. And I will never go out there again.